Right now, on a strip of seawater just 21 miles wide, a fifth of the world's oil is being held hostage. The tankers are gone. Insurance has collapsed. And in capitals from Beijing to Berlin, governments are asking the same question. What happens if this water closes for good? This is the Strait of Hormuz, the single most important piece of ocean on the planet. And the country that closed it may have just made the most dangerous miscalculation of the decade. Find the Persian Gulf on a map and follow it to the only way out, a narrow dogleg of water between Iran to the north and the rugged tip of Oman to the south. At its tightest, the Strait of Hormuz is about 21 nautical miles across. But ships can't use most of that. They're funneled into two shipping lanes, each just 2 miles wide, with a buffer between them. Through that needle passes roughly 20 million barrels of oil every single day. That is about 1/5 of all the petroleum the world consumes, and nearly 1/3 of all the oil that ever travels by sea. Add 1/5 of the planet's liquefied natural gas, and the picture is complete. No other waterway on Earth carries more of what the modern world runs on. Strategists call this a choke point. This is the choke point that rules them all.
WARFRONT Intelligence Brief. One waterway, 21 miles wide, 1/5 of the world's oil, and no real way around it.
So who depends on it? On one side, the producers. Saudi Arabia moves the most, followed by the UAE, Kuwait, Iraq, Iran, and the gas giant Qatar. But follow the tankers out, and the real story appears. Nearly 90% of the oil leaving Hormuz now sails east to Asia, and one country towers over all the others, China. Beijing alone takes almost 38% of everything that moves through the strait. India, another 15%, South Korea, 12%, Japan, 11%. Here is what most of the coverage misses. The Strait of Hormuz is not America's lifeline, not anymore. The United States is now a net energy exporter. It draws barely 1.5 million barrels a day from this region. The country with the most to lose is China, and China is Iran's single biggest customer. So read that again. Iran's most powerful weapon is aimed, in part, at its only real friend.
WARFRONT Intelligence Brief. Of every 100 barrels leaving Hormuz, nearly 90 sail to Asia. China takes 38. The strait is Iran's sharpest weapon, and it points straight at Iran's biggest customer.
Which brings us to now. On the 28th of February 2026, American and Israeli forces opened a direct war on Iran. Days later, on the 4th of March, Tehran did what it had threatened for decades. It declared the Strait of Hormuz closed, not with one weapon, but with a swarm of them. Naval mines drifting in the lanes, anti-ship missiles along the coast, drones overhead, and fast attack boats darting between the tankers. The effect was immediate. Crude shipments through the strait fell by about 95%, liquefied gas by 99%. Since early May, open transits have been close to zero. Oil jumped nearly 7% in a single day. In America, petrol passed $4.30 a gallon. The International Energy Agency called it the largest supply disruption in the history of the global oil market. More than 14 million barrels a day simply gone. And yet, here is the question intelligence analysts actually care about. Can Iran truly close the Strait of Hormuz? The honest answer is, not for long. This is an international waterway. The United States' Fifth Fleet is based just up the coast in Bahrain, with minesweepers built for exactly this. Mines can be cleared. Missile batteries can be hunted. Under international law, every nation holds the right of transit. And history is blunt. Even at the height of the tanker war in the 1980s, with hundreds of ships under fire, the strait never actually closed. But here is the part that matters. Iran doesn't need to close it. It only needs the world to believe that it might. Fear alone does the work. The moment war risk insurance spikes, the moment a single tanker burns, shipping companies reroute, premiums explode, and the cost ripples into every barrel on Earth. You don't have to sink the oil. You only have to scare it. None of this is new. The strait has been a battlefield before. From 1984 to 88, during the Iran-Iraq War, the so-called tanker war saw more than 450 ships attacked in these waters. The United States began escorting reflagged Kuwaiti tankers. In 1988, that shadow war erupted into Operation Praying Mantis, the largest surface battle the US Navy had fought since the Second World War. The same year, the warship USS Vincennes shot down a civilian airliner, Iran Air Flight 655, killing 290 people. Decades later, in 2019, mines crippled tankers in the Gulf of Oman, and a single strike on Saudi Arabia briefly raised 5% of global supply. Every generation, someone tests this water, and every time, it reopens, but never without a price. Surely, you might think, there's a way around it. There is, just not enough of one. 2 pipelines can bypass the strait entirely. Saudi Arabia's east-west line, carrying up to 5 to 7 million barrels a day to the Red Sea, and the UAE's line to the port of Fujairah on the open ocean side, moving under 2 million more. Add them up, and at absolute maximum, you can route maybe 6 to 9 million barrels a day around Hormuz. But 20 million go through it. The math does not lose. Yes, there are strategic reserves, an OPEC spare capacity, but most of that spare oil sits behind the very same strait. That is the trap. You cannot pipe your way out of the Strait of Hormuz.
WARFRONT assessment. Iran cannot hold the strait closed for long. It does not need to. Fear moves the oil, and fear is cheap.
So why should this matter to you, even if you've never seen the Persian Gulf? Because oil has one global price. When 20% of it is threatened, the price rises everywhere, for everyone, no matter where your country buys its fuel. That means higher petrol, higher shipping, higher food. A fresh wave of inflation through an economy still recovering from the last one. And strategically, the strait is a lever, but a brittle one. It is a weapon Iran can pull only once, because using it turns its own customers, China above all, against it, while the country it most wants to hurt, the United States, can simply wait. This is economic warfare with a 21-mile fuse, and the entire world is standing right next to it. So what happens next? The ceasefire holding today is conditional and fragile. But even if the guns fall silent tomorrow, the deeper problem does not move. As long as the modern world runs on oil, and as long as a fifth of that oil threads through a gap just 21 miles wide, the Strait of Hormuz will remain the most dangerous water on the planet. A single point where a local quarrel can become a global shock. China is racing to build pipelines and routes that bypass it. America leans on its own shale. The energy transition will eventually loosen the grip, but not this year and not this decade. For now, the world's economy still flows through a channel you could cross in an afternoon. Most people will see a headline about oil prices and scroll past. You won't, because now you can see the whole board. That's the difference between watching the news and reading the war. This is WARFRONT.